Hello and welcome to this Fotospeed video with me, Tim Jones. Today we are tackling the problem that plagues people with dye-based printers, and that is how to print matte prints. And we're going to be specifically looking at the Epson ET-8550 because this has a solution to the faded and kind of not very pleasing results that you may get from your dye machine on cotton-based matte papers. So I'm going to be showing you the little hack or the little trick that we can do with the Eco-tank machine here to give you amazing prints. I'm also going to be showing you some prints on the table as well and the comparisons between the two, one with this hack and one without. So you can see the vast difference this actually makes. Okay, but before we talk any further about that, please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel and sign up to the Fotospeed Newsletter on photospeed.com. Also, don't forget to download The Art of Printing, the free ebook from us here at Fotospeed, which covers everything from turning on your printer to framing, mounting, bookmaking, everything in between, all the difficult kind of color management bits and things like that. I will put all the links though to everything I've just said in the description below, so you can just click on the links as well. Okay. So let's start by just talking a little bit about what the problem is with dye-based inks and also what happens when they go onto matte papers and it doesn't work as well. And you can see here, actually, this example here, all printed on the 8550 here. But here is an example of what can happen. So if you print just using a standard setting on the 8550 and it comes out on your matte paper. The paper I've used for this is the smooth cotton, so this is the print here, and it comes out looking quite nice. And if you didn't have anything to compare it against, like a pigment based print that has a matte black ink, so that's the clue here, you'd think, okay, it looks okay. It looks a bit flat though when compared to kind of the luster or gloss type of print I've done, or the platinum baryta print you've printed it on. But you haven't really got a matte print to compare it against, so it looks pretty good. Now, if you print it using a matte black ink, then the difference becomes very obvious here. This just has a lot more definition, a lot more contrast, where the print printed on the dye machine just looks faded, doesn't really have much life to it, and just looks very flat. Now, these are both the smooth cotton paper, they're just different settings used. So this is using a matte black and that's using the dye-based prints. However, Epson have a solution for this because the problem with dye-based inks is they're a little bit thinner, so they look absolutely fantastic with kind of a semi-gloss type of papers, anything with a bit of a shine, so they really do punt and pop off the page, so they look absolutely fantastic. The problem comes when you print on matte because they generally don't have a matte black ink like a pigment-based machine would. So what happens is when you print on a matte paper, because the matte papers are very porous, especially the cotton types of paper, the ink soaks into the paper more effectively. So it doesn't have so much punch and as life as, say, a print on the luster or the gloss type of papers, or if you're using a matte black ink that sits on the top a little bit more and just create a little bit more punch and kind of a bit more life to your print as well, and hold those colors and those deep, rich blacks that you need as well. So with the Eco-tank machine though, Epson have put in a standard kind of photo dye-based black, but they've also put a pigment black in here. And when you print using just the standard matte setting that you may think is a good setting to use and a good setting to kind of start with, and if you're not familiar, it just says Epson matte in the driver. So you print with this and you get some pretty reasonable results, I have to say. So you get some results that look really, really nice. And I've got some on the table here. So this is one here. And the color looks quite nice. It does look a little bit flat, a little bit like the kind of the picture here, the bull picture here I have. And also I've done some wildlife here and they look pretty reasonable. I think if you compared them to the screen, they probably would look a little bit flatter than you kind of would expect, especially if you started comparing them to kind of matte blacks and kind of pigment-based machines as well, or if you compared them to some of those semi-gloss, gloss type of papers. Now, there is a little secret setting within this printer, and you may have read about this already, but really, when you're using the Epson Eco-tank, the 8550, when you're printing matte prints, and this is what makes the Eco-tank such a great printer and a really popular printer as well, because of this setting, and obviously because it's got refillable inks in it and things like this, but also because of this setting. If you use the paper setting Velvet Fine Art, it will actually use both of those blacks for you. So you get a matte black-like print. Now, before I show you this, so I got a little bit more space on the table here so we can illustrate it. I'm just going to get this printer out of the way, and then I can spread these prints out a little bit more. And then you can see these comparisons between using the standard Epson matte setting and then the actual Velvet Fine Art setting. And we can have a look in a little bit more detail. So let me just get this printer out of the way and then we'll have a look. Okay, so the printer's out of the way. And like I said, that's kind of the theory behind it, is that if we use that Epson matte setting on the printer, it just uses that dye-based black ink. So that soaks into the paper a little bit more and causes us some problems. However, if we use the Velvet Fine Art, we actually use those two black inks. And the difference, I have to say, is quite, not shocking, but it does make a lot of difference. And that's why I tell people now, we should be using that Velvet Fine Art setting, especially on the ET-8550. Now, this top print here is using the Epson matte setting on the printer. Does a fantastic job. It looks quite good. Yeah, matte is lacking a little bit of punch, we could probably say, but we may in our heads go, okay, I've got to allow for a little bit of that because of the matte papers and things like that. So, okay, it's a lovely print. However, if I compare it now to the Velvet Fine Art setting, exactly the same printer, both again on smooth cotton paper, cotton-based matte paper, you'll see it just has a lot more punch, a lot more detail even. It's just gained something, it's just lifted it. This bit of the beak here, it just jumps off the page at you. It's just elevated things. The colour even looks better as well. So getting the right media type is really, really important, especially if you're using a dye-based printer like the ET-8550, because it really does help. I'm sorry to say that the Canon equivalents like the Canon Mega Tanks and even the Canon Pro 200S doesn't have this function. So, or not that I've seen anyway. And the 200S, check out my video for it. I'll put a link in the description below. It does produce beautiful matte prints. However, the ET, I think the 8550 just has slightly the edge, especially on this Velvet Fine Art setting, just a little bit punchier. They are almost as good and very, very close to rivaling pigment-based prints using matte papers with that matte black ink. They are very, very close, I have to say. Okay, so let me just look at another one. Now, we looked at this one right at the start. So this is actually the version with just the matte Epson matte setting here. Again, quite washed out. We've looked at that one. And this is the print here using the Velvet Fine Art setting. And in the horn here, the detail it just brings out and the punch and thing and the sharpness is quite dramatic. And all we've done is change the media type. It's such a simple setting to choose, but the difference in print quality is dramatic as well. But I wanted to look at the black in particular as well. So I just pop these to one side for a second because I did print this picture here. Now, this picture here is kind of underwater, lots of black here, quite vivid, bright colour. And this was on the smooth cotton again as well. And then I reprinted it here using the setting, the Velvet Fine Art setting. and it just improved it. It became just a better black, and this almost looks a bit blue and wishy-washy, which I'd kind of expect from a kind of a photo black, whereas this one became a bit more deeper black. It's not going to be as glossy as kind of a semi-gloss or gloss black. It becomes a matte black. But the difference, I hope you can see on camera, hopefully I'll do some more close-ups as well. The difference in the black is quite dramatic as well. But I wanted to just test it on a different type of paper as well, just to see if it was kind of, if the difference would be there. So that's on the smooth cotton. I did it on the NST Bright White as well, which I kind of say is a staple of most people. And it produced a nice print, very reasonable print, just using the Epson matte setting. But when I used the Velvet Fine Art, it did just create a better black and a bit more punch to it, really. And it really did improve things quite a lot. Yeah, I've been very impressed with this setting. And like I said, I might be a little bit late to the party with this setting as well, but I wanted to do a video on it because we've had quite a few questions about it. How do I get some nice prints on my 8550? Because it's such a great printer, and also the cost savings as well on this printer are dramatic with those refillable bottles and ink as well. So, as I said, I do listen, and we do read all the comments and questions and things as well. So this is a video to help people out there get the best matte prints out of their printer. And I hope you can see by these that that simple setting can make that dramatic difference on your printer. So if you want to do this, this setting is found within your media types. So when you go to set your media, be it if you're on a Mac or a PC, instead of setting the Epson matte setting, set it on Velvet Fine Art. And it's as simple as that. We put the print quality up to high as well, or highest. So we can set on the best quality we can be printing on. And the difference you get, and the stunning matte prints, like I said, I'm quite sure these prints, and I have put them against the P700, which is just this printer in the corner over here. And the difference, I don't think, is massive. There's a slight difference because we've got the dedicated matte black in the P700. However, there's not much, and it does an absolutely fantastic print. And like I said, I think Epson just have the edge on Canon here in the dye world. But let me know what you think anyway in the comments. So I should say that this setting, this Velvet Fine Art setting, goes hand in hand with some really good custom profiles. So if you've been using the Epson matte setting and have custom profiles made, try the Velvet Fine Art setting with your existing profiles. But eventually, and the best practice will be to send us another chart in and go through the free custom profiling service we have here at Fotospeed to get the best color. And because we're using a different media type, what we don't want to do is over ink or anything like that. So with the Velvet Fine Art setting, it's going to be using probably a little bit more ink to kind of put down on the paper to create this contrast, as well as mixing those blacks. So we will need some new profiles to bring that back in line as well. It's a completely free service we offer here at Fotospeed, so please take advantage of it. I will put links at the end of this video to how to print the charts and things like that. But basically, just go on photospeed.com, go to support, download the profiling pack. I've got a video on here as well, taking you through how to print the charts. I mean, basically need a chart printer without any color management or profiles assigned to it effectively. You post it into us, we scan it, and we email you the profile back, and you can use it and get amazing matte prints or amazing prints on anything, to be honest. It doesn't just go for the dye-based printers or anything. Any printer you have, we can probably profile it for you. And any questions on that at all, please just drop us an email or give us a call. So hopefully this little trick and this little setting in your ET-8550 will give you better matte prints, hopefully save you some paper and ink, because you're not going to be agonizing and pulling your hair out, reprinting prints or anything like that, and adding contrast and doing loads and loads of test prints, because you can just click this one little setting in your driver settings and in your print setup and get fabulous matte prints like this. And hopefully you can see on the table here that the difference is quite a lot, and it's quite dramatic. So I hope that has helped. And remember, we're always here to help at Fotospeed. And please don't forget to subscribe to the Fotospeed YouTube channel and sign up to the Fotospeed newsletter. And also don't forget to download the free Art of Printing that gives you loads of tips like I've just explained here today. And also everything you need to know about printing to get you started, or if you're a seasoned printer, to give you a little bit more information on what's happening in your color management or framing or bookmaking or anything in there as well. Loads of ambassadors have put little quotes and things as well. So well worth a download for you. So on that note though, happy printing, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.